Hello.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Everything is good. Well, I got a sore throat and some sort of cold. I don't know what the hell is happening. So,
That's cool. Hope you feel better.
me too. Anyway, and we have to talk about these
Yes, we do.
great records. And, the first question is why it took you guys so long to put out a new album.
Yeah, I guess there's a couple answers to that. Well, the first thing is the band's always playing live. We didn't break up or anything, and Nuno and I are always writing either apart or when we're together. Uh, just a lot of stop and starts on the way to finish this record. People doing outside projects, just coordinating all that. Of course, the COVID, the pandemic. You know, in a perfect world, the record would have come out a couple of years ago. But believe it or not, there would have been a few different songs on it. So the record has evolved. So we're happy. We're happy that we're putting out this group of songs.
Yeah. And when you're writing, is there a like, what's the process that you normally go through? Because you were saying that if it was released a couple years ago, there will be probably some different songs or something. You always are in a constant writing mode. You're never happy with what you have.
Yeah, it's a good question. Sometimes when you finish a song, you think it's, you're excited about the song. And then when you sit on it for a little while, that wears off. So sometimes that gets into play. But as far as writing, when I'm with Nuno, I'll show him something. He might show me something. It might just be a lyric. It might be a riff. It might be a piano piece. And we'll usually put our minds together and come up with something.
Yeah. Does it take long to finish a song, or it just varies from song to song?
Yeah, I think it does. It varies. Some songs are real quick, and you're like, oh, this is great. The next song is going to be nice and fast. And other songs, you toil over a lyric or a musical part or a transition. Sometimes you'll take a leftover of a middle eight of another song and put it in this because it works chord wise and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm always curious for a musician in the songwriting process, because sometimes I believe you have to trust your instinct when you have something, and if you tend to work too much on it, that original excitement that you had when you had the idea in the first place might disappear. Is that the case sometimes with you guys? When you work too much on a song, you were like, okay, this is not working.
What you just said is very insightful. I think you can be your own worst enemy if you spend too much time on a lyric or a piece of music, because you're always trying to perfect it. And sometimes that's more neurosis. It's more you're getting in your own way. Let that inspiration breathe, and sometimes your first instinct is the best because you come back to it.
Yeah. And when the first single Rise came out, the internet exploded.
Yeah.
All they talked about was Nuno guitar solo and Guitar Heroes are back, all that stuff. It's a great start of an album. Were you guys surprised with the reaction that Rise got?
Yeah, that was pretty overwhelming. We put out the first single. We thought, we'd get the extreme fans excited, and then when it went viral, and it just exploded. Everybody's attention was on the extended Nuno solo. And Nuno scratching his head going, I've been playing like this for forever. But the exciting thing was that there was this new audience that we're discovering Nuno and the band. So we were like, okay, let's give them some more. And we were so excited to release the next two.
Yeah. And do you think when it comes to, obviously Nuno always played like that, but we came from the pandemic thing. We lost Eddie Van Halen, which was a reference for you worked with him in
Sure.
Van Halen. Nuno, obviously, a huge fan as well. Do you think all these emotions that came as soon as they hear, because music these days, you don't hear flashy guitar solos anymore unless you listen to, metal or,
Right.
hard rock.
Sure.
Do you think that all those emotions and brought the excitement back somehow? Because we had lost probably one of the most innovative guitar players ever. And all of a sudden we have, Nuno just doing what he does best.
Right. I think you're right. I think there was with the loss of Eddie, there was this hunger, there was this yearning for something. Maybe the COVID thing, people not being able to go to shows, even though, people have been playing shows for the past couple of years. To see there's a lot of great shredders out there on YouTube, but not in the context of a song and a band. You hear it in metal and hard rock bands, but it's not in the mainstream. Yeah. And I think because this song went viral, it was either a reminder or something new that the younger audience never saw before.
Yeah.
We grew up on Van Halen,
yeah.
and so this is the music that moves us. We're passionate about it, but to see almost a new generation almost discover Nuno is exciting.
Yeah, what fascinates me probably is you have a lot of kids that don't like metal or anything like that. They probably watched the Rihanna shows and they had no idea that Nuno was there.
No. Right. Yeah. I always, Nuno loved playing in that band and they're incredible musicians. And I just went, when I went to Rihanna, and it was great. Rihanna was great and the band was phenomenal. I just looked at my guitar player going, man, you're overqualified. They're not using what you can do.
Yeah,
but they knew what they had in Nuno for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny because we see these days that you need almost to get viral, even if it's to do something stupid to break through an audience these days. You might be the best freaking band on the planet, but if you don't go viral with a younger audience on social media,
yeah. Yeah, you might as well not exist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. How do you see, you've been doing this for a long, long time. You guys been through highs, lows, middles, and you seem to be going on a high again. The curve seems to be ascending again. How do you see all these, changes in the way people listen to music, perceive bands, artists? What's your take on that?
Yeah. Like you said, Extreme's been around for a long time, and we've seen highs with More Than Words and Pornography and Three Sides and had leaner years. So it's exciting for us to get this attention after so many years, and we're building a world tour that starts in August. That's going to be exciting because I think we're going to see some new faces. Nowadays, with the internet, even though there's this growing hunger for vinyl, you see the vinyl. I love seeing that. I love seeing the younger generation grow up on a format that we grew up on. But the internet, it's a tool that we're finding. We're we're taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
And so that's just, I think artists have to adapt to the technology, to the environment, because that's how you reach kids. I mean, we're even putting out little TikTok, Instagram, little things that we would never think of. But that reaches the audience.
Yeah, and because we're from a time where a band, to get through, they would have to play a lot live, and even before the album was out, probably a month before, they would be on the road already, playing shows and everything. How do you see this thing now, where you have to put an album and you probably have to wait still a couple months, maybe more, to actually go on tour and play shows?
Yeah.
Is it weird for you? Because, I don't know. I remember seeing, Iron Maiden, and the album was coming out the following month or something like that, and they were already on the road playing shows. Right. And, how was that change for you guys, and see these, sit and wait?
Yeah, that's frustrating, but it's just how it unfolds now. Like you said, back in the day, you're basically going door to door, club to club, and your record's coming out, and that was the process. Now, I kind of it's frustrating to wait, but as far as the setup, we're going to go into towns, we're going to go into countries, and now we have 4 or 5 videos out, and those are people have seen them, so we can play that live. So I think there's an advantage there to put out music before you go in. I mean, we played a couple shows. We played in Brazil, and we played some of the new material. And back in the old days, when you played new material, people wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Now we played in Brazil, or the cruise a couple months ago, and we got a reaction to the new songs like some of our bigger hits of the old catalog. So that was amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting to go on stage.
Always. Yeah, I think I think if you ask any rock band, that's why we do it. You started off in a bedroom or a garage, garage band when you were a teenager, and you just wanted to play. So you get older, and it's a little rougher on the road when you're older, but it all leads to the 2 hours on stage. And Extreme is such a live band. We take pride in our performance. So that's when we feel we put our best foot forward. We can prove our worth live.
Yeah. And obviously, when you're an established band, when you play live, you bring your equipment, you have your stuff, monitors and all that. And, when you start as a rock band, you probably don't give a rat's ass if you can hear yourself on stage or not. You just want to rock, go crazy, play the show and drink some beers after or something like that. But when you're a seasoned musician, those little details, they are very important. It's when you go on stage, it's still very important to be sure that everybody can hear themselves. They can hear. Oh, yeah. How's that working now for you guys? Do you guys I'm not listening to Nuno's guitar. I want more guitar. What's
Yeah, again, like you said, you sound like a musician. You sound like someone who's played in bands. When you're a kid, you just want to go out there. You're screaming, the guitar player is turning up to 11. It doesn't matter. But quality matters, presentation matters. You want to get those songs across. When you're older, you got to take care of yourself. Yeah. So you got to recover the next day. So if you don't hear yourself, you're going to blow out your voice and cancel shows. So now it's incredibly important to everybody has to hear, each other.
And when you play live, you use in-ears now because, a lot of bands, I see like bands, they still don't flat out. They don't want in-ears or anything like that. They want the Marshalls behind them, whatever it is. And they want the monitors, screw everything.
Well, I would tell those bands, because you when you get a little older, you're probably going to want to use them. I was very reluctant to use my in-ears probably about 14 years ago. I started, I was just like, no, I want to hear the monitors. I want to hear the guitar. I want to hear the audience. And so I reluctantly tried them, and it did wonders for my voice, to keep my voice from night to night. So now I couldn't live without them,
It's easy to control the volume of your voice, and you listen to yourself, and probably having like a proper mix of whatever you prefer to listen to. Just on the curious side, when you're playing live with your in-ears, what do you like? How is the mix in your in-ears?
Always guitar, because I have to find the key. The drums and the bass are a little lower because they're just so powerful on stage. You hear the stage volume. So as long as I'm hearing guitars, I'm hearing the background vocals that I can sing with Nuno and Pat. That's for me. Sometimes I'll pull an ear out so I can hear the ambience of the stage and the audience. But and sometimes I turn it too loud, and I pay for that at the end of the night, because you just get so excited, and you don't want to be singing, hearing this little soft rock band. You want it to fill your body. So
cool. And going back to Six, how long? It took some time to write you were in a constant writing mode, but how long did it take to finish the songs for the album? How long did it take? What was the start period, so to say, for Six?
Yeah, I think it was about 2015, 2016, we started getting serious about, we didn't have a time on it. We just went, okay, these songs are the cream of the crop. Let's finish this song, put it aside, and then we would address it later. And I might have a rough vocal on it, and wanna when we return to that song, I would do another take, or Nuno would do another solo. The guys would come in and we'd do background vocals to it. And then, then it would just sit on, we put it on a shelf, we'd move on to the next song. So we have a lot of songs that were left on the shelf in various degrees of being finished. And we might, we'll return to those for the next record with new songs we're writing in real time.
Yeah. And putting an album out is still worth it for you guys these days, because we see the way we talked about trends, technology, and, the way people listen to music these days. Is it still worth it for you to put an album out? Is it still exciting?
It is exciting. I think it's important. It's important for artists. I mean, I'm a little upset we haven't put out more music over the years, because we're getting such a great response from our fans. A band like us, or even bands that came before us, like Aerosmith, they have such a great catalog. When they play live, people want to hear their older material.
Yeah.
And then when they put out a new record, they might play one, maybe two new songs, and then it'll fall by the wayside. With us, it's been so long since we put out new material, to infuse 4, 5, maybe 6 new songs into our set. This tour is giving this band life, because we've been doing the catalog for so long. Of course, we're when we play play Japan or UK, Australia, wherever, US, play places we haven't played. Of course, we have to play our catalog, get the funk out and Decadence and all that stuff.
Yeah. And, when it comes to Japan, I remember years ago a press conference when the Tribute Queen record came out. It was Bruce Kulick and I can't remember. I think it was Bruce Kulick and Rudy Sarzo. They were doing the press thing. And I remember Bruce Kulick saying that in Japan, guitar heroes are gods.
Yes, they are. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Extreme's been playing there since 1989. I think we even went in 1988 before our first record came out. And we've been very fortunate. It's a big market for us, incredible loyal fans. And Nuno is the god of gods over there. He is quite the guitar hero over there.
I always imagine almost like a Beatlemania kind of a thing. Every time they see a guitar hero like Nuno, let's say.
Oh yeah.
Japanese fans, they are very devoted to their artists, and it's something that I appreciate a lot when I see stuff from Japan, bands playing and stuff. It's the devotion that the fans have. And it's not about trends or anything like that. They just like their bands and, they're there for them.
Yeah, once they lock in, if they like you off the first record, they are going to follow you. They're very loyal, incredible. They're very actually, everything, every note, every lyric, they just dissect every piece of material. When I do interviews over there, it's slower because of the translation, but they're asking technical questions, and we love it. We're very fortunate to have an audience over there.
Cool. And let's go just a bit back in time to that great show in 1992 at the Queen Tribute, Wembley Stadium. You guys were the second band playing that day, Metallica first. Now if you look at that, you think Metallica playing a first, Guns finished the set, when it comes to band. But how was that day for you guys? And, the medley that you guys made, was that planned since the beginning? Was that the idea? How was that? I love that. I'm a huge Queen fan anyway, but I remember seeing that live on TV. I recorded on the radio as well. I had tapes with everything, even with the Spinal Tap performance, which was
oh yeah.
How was that day for you guys?
Well, that was an incredible day. When we actually met Brian a couple of years before that. He jumped on stage. Me and Nuno did the Seville guitar show over there. That's when we met him. And Brian got a kick out of me and Nuno because we were Queen fanatics. So when Freddy passed, we were on tour in London, and we went out to dinner with Brian and the band. And he said he was going to do this. We're going to do this great tribute to Freddy, and we'd like you to be a part of it. And we were just going crazy inside. So when he asked us that, we knew exactly what we were going to do. He says, we're inviting all these bands, and you guys get to play a song, and the format was you play your material and then play a Queen song, like Metallica did Stone Cold Crazy. Yeah. And we knew from the start, we said, we're not doing any extreme. We're going to do what Queen did for Live Aid. We're going to put a medley together. And believe it or not, our medley was like an hour long, and we had to cut it down to like 15 minutes because I'm going, we got to do this song. We got to do this song. Yeah. We were crazy.
Yeah.
So that day, such a thrill for us. You know, we got to meet every hero you could think of: Roger Daltrey, Elton John, Bowie, George Michael, Robert Plant. We were in heaven. Yeah. And for us to do Queen, you know, collectively our favorite band, certainly Freddy is my all-time hero. To do that, and for us to play well, and you know, we got off stage and we were looking at each other going, did you do good? And I go, yeah. Everybody felt good after that. And for people to still bring it up is such a thrill for us, because that was probably the best day of Extreme's career.
Yeah. And, you know, because I remember, if I remember correctly, you opened with Mustafa on the medley, which, you know, it's probably, for me, it's one of my favorite from, you know, until the 80s. It's one of my favorite songs. You know, that jazz record has some gems there that's, you know, I'm like, okay, you have Don't Stop Me Now. You know, everybody knows the song, but you have Mustafa, you have Dreamer's Ball.
In only 7 days.
But yeah, you know, so many gems there. But, you know, how did you decide, like, I'm going to start a medley with Mustafa?
That was scary. That was probably the scariest part, because I didn't have my band behind me.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think very simple. It was one of my favorite songs, and we put it in the medley, and we thought that it was, you know, for Queen fans like yourself, you know that song. It's not a famous song, you know, not like the hits Don't Stop Me Now.
Yeah.
And we just thought it was like, this one's for the Queen fans. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna belt out Mustafa, and we'll know that the Queen fans will know that we are Queen fans. You know, we're pulling out this gem to start our medley. And I think, you know, from then on in, it was off the rails, you know.
Yeah. Did Brian say anything when you, after that performance, was he surprised that you guys pulled that off?
Yeah, he was very complimentary. You know, again, before we went on, we weren't supposed to do all those songs, and Nuno says, you know, some of the people caught wind, and they were a little reluctant, as, you know, should you guys be doing this? But you know, we just had blinders on. We knew what we were going to do. The whole band was complimentary. I remember getting off stage, and Elton John, you know, I was walking past Elton John, and he gave me a big kiss. He goes, "You guys were brilliant." So I was just like, it was fantastic. It was
goodbye, Yellow Brick Road.
Absolutely.
That must have been like, you know, hearing you talk about all the musicians, you know, I just got, you know, goosebumps thinking, like, if I remember I was at Ozfest in 2001, and I was going through the backstage area because I was photographing the show. And I remember seeing someone just kind of pacing, like not running and not walking, something in between. And I was like, who's this crazy guy? Just doing this here backstage. It was Ozzy.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what? You know,
exactly.
Whatever I'm going to, you know, I wanted to say a lot of things. I just stayed there with my mouth open, didn't say anything. So I can imagine if you were like backstage and seeing like Robert Plant, David Bowie, you know, Roger Daltrey, you know, I probably would just like.
Yeah, well, you know, the band was that, because everywhere you turned, I mean, I remember rehearsing the day before in rehearsals, and, you know, here I am standing next to Annie Lennox, and we're waiting for our turn to play with Queen. And I'm freaking out that I actually have to sing in rehearsal with Queen, you know, and here I'm standing next to Annie Lennox, and and it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And then, I forgot who went on before me and sang, but they did it a couple times. And then when it was my turn to rehearse, I knew Brian, so I gave him a hug, and we started Hammer to Fall, because I was doing that later in the evening. And I did it once. I did it without the cue cards and lyrics because I had it memorized. And after that, I went, I thought I was going to do it again, rehearse it twice. And Brian goes, no, he goes, you're great, Gary, you know it. And I'm like, wait a minute, I want to do it again.
You want to milk the experience.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to hang on to that. And that was just, I get goosebumps talking about it, because just to remember those moments, that rehearsal, to actually play with John Deacon and Roger Taylor. I mean, this is, I felt like a 13-year-old kid in my bedroom singing Queen songs. So,
yeah. Cool. And Gary, before we go, you guys are planning a tour. What's the idea for next year? You have some shows this year, but for 2024, are you going to go on a more extended tour? What's the plans?
Yeah, right now we're starting our tour in the US in August, and then September we go to Australia, Japan, somewhere in October. November we're doing the UK, Europe, and we're already booking a second leg. We're talking about South America proper. We just were in Brazil, hopefully including Mexico. And let me see. We did, believe it or not, we did Indonesia, China, and Russia a few years back. So we're looking into that. We hope to be touring all next year as well.
And Portugal, hopefully.
Oh yeah. And there's plans. Oh yeah. There's plans. Are you kidding?
Don't you dare to skip.
Nuno won't let that. That's going to happen. We got our Portuguese guy in the band.
Yeah, we're not going to let that slide. If you do next year a tour in Europe and play Portugal, it's and just to finish, and because we talked about Van Halen, you've been in Van Halen. How was that experience for you? Do you think it was people didn't give a right chance to that record?
Yeah, in hindsight, I think the record aged better, and I think people now maybe appreciate that period of time now that Eddie's gone. But at the time, there was frustration. But as far as being in the band and how the band treated me and the tour was fantastic. I think we pleased a lot of Van Halen fans, because it was the first time in a decade that they got to hear the older material, the Dave era and the Sammy era together. So I'm proud of that that tour. The record, I have my critique of the record. Maybe it could have been mixed better, but I think there were some great songs on that record. Year to the Day, One I Want. So I think in time, people have appreciated that period. Yeah.
And, just curiosity, I was reading somewhere that you guys had made a second album, but the label turned it down. Was that true?
We recorded a lot of material after that tour. The record company, that's a fabrication. Record company we never got it to the point where we presented it to the record company. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I had read somewhere that you guys had the second record, but the label sent it back saying that they didn't want it or whatever it was. So I was just to be, No,
I'm glad you asked that question, because I've heard that before, and no one's ever asked me that. So yeah, that's not true. We had material. Some songs were finished. Some songs were just demos. There was a lot of material, and it was so far from being presented to the record company.
All right. Gary, thank you very much for your time. All the best for 6. It's an amazing record, a great I won't say comeback because you guys never left, to be honest, but it's a great record. It was worth the wait, but please don't leave us hanging so long for the next music. All right.
we promise that. We're very excited.
Gary, thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you guys in Portugal soon again. It's been a long time. So, hope to see you guys soon. All right.
Thank you. You take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.